The agenda for me. Thank you very much. Today's agenda is the consideration and adoption of the agenda. It's the
recording in progress.
Department of E&R on Budget Vote 31, Strategic Plan 2026-27, Annual Performance Plan, and then the consideration and adoption of minutes that took place on the 25th of March. And what we discussed on that day was the unbundling of the compensation fund and the unemployment fund. Could I please ask for a mover and a seconder on the agenda? Thank you. I see Honourable Pinar and Honourable Nodada's hands are up.
Thank you, Chairperson. I'd like to move the adoption of the agenda.
Thank you very much, Honourable Pinar. Honourable Nodada.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning and good morning, everyone. I second the adoption of the agenda. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honourable Satoli, I saw your hand was up, but I take it you also wanted to either second or propose. Colleagues,
Yes,
thank you very much. Before we proceed, may I just extend a warm welcome to our Deputy Minister who has made himself available. We were actually treading around hoping somebody would come because we haven't had a political face in this meeting for quite some time, and as the executive know, we cannot continue if there's no one from the executive present. So Honourable DM Sabia, thank you very much for being here today. We really appreciate your time. And then just a small a short take on how the committees work from now on. What we're going to do is the members are going to be afforded the opportunity to ask questions. You're going to respond to them directly. It's not going to be a question of every member asking a question and at the end you respond and we run out of time. So I'm asking through you, Minister DM, that your team is prepared for these questions that will be coming. And then I also want you to, after you have spoken, that the acting DG, Ms. Molasani, that you not take us through your vision and your mission, etc., etc. I want you to get down to the nitty-gritties of the plans that you are going to present to us. We all know what the vision and the mission and the principles, etc., etc. are. So we want to hear exactly what you're going to tell us with regard to budget vote, the APP and the strat plan. And then before I continue, allow you to continue, DM, I just want to say that going through this presentation, what I have seen is that it is a technically compliant plan. But for me, it raises serious concerns about the impact you're having. I see the department is setting extensive targets, yet many of these measures are measure activity rather than outcomes. One thing that I picked up is we see over 1 million work seekers to be registered, but only a fraction placed into jobs. And then we see your huge large-scale inspection targets without clear evidence of improved compliance. And then something else that I picked up is your new flagship initiatives, which are presented without secured funding. And the question that raises with me is not whether the department has a plan, but whether this plan will meaningfully change the realities of unemployment and enforcement failure on the ground. So that is my 10 cents worth at this point in time, DM. I'm going to hand over to you. If you could please give us your inputs into what is to be presented today, and then hand over to your acting DG who will take us through the rest of the proceedings. Thank you very much, Honourable DM.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson. I'm just showing my face, Chair. If the Chairperson may allow me to switch off my video for better signaling.
Yes, we will. And thank you. I see you driving.
Thank you, Chair. That's the reality, but I've stopped because I need to pay full attention to the work of the Select Committee. Good morning to you, Honorable Chairperson, the honorable members, Acting Director General, and the team from the department, everyone who's part of this platform. Chair, we understand you so well. You understood the directives that you have given us, what you are expecting from us, and how you would want us to do things today. We'll do exactly as how the chairperson has asked us to do. Chair and the honorable members, I must say upfront and apologize that I'm not well. I'm having a serious flu that has been with me for almost a week now. My voice might be struggling a bit, but we are here to do our work. We would like to apologize to you, Chair, upfront that you, as the committee, you might believe that we haven't been available to come and participate and account to the Select Committee. We want to apologize. It was never deliberate and it can never be deliberate. We are going to improve and make sure that it never happens again where there is no one amongst us as the executive. Because we understand that it's important for us to come and account. The only challenge is that we live in the world where conditions dictate. For instance, Chair, today there is a cabinet meeting which the minister has attended. Deputy Minister Nematsinga Shabalala is out of the country, to be exactly in China. There's also a portfolio committee on the same APPs, and the Minister Math has to find creative ways of covering both the cabinet and the portfolio committee. Of course, I'm here because we understand the seriousness of accounting to the committee. Our apologies once again, Chair, unreservedly and unconditional apology. Members, we present to you the 2026-2027 Annual Performance Plan of the Department of Employment and Labor at the moment of global economic realignment defined by geopolitical tensions, supply chain fragmentations, and uneven recovery across major economies. In response, the government, as led by His Excellency President Ramaphosa, has adopted a disciplined and pragmatic approach to stabilize the core enablers of growth, the stabilization of energy supply, logistics, and rail, among other, build resilience and expansion. These interventions are critical as they shift the structural constraints that have suppressed investment and limited job creation in our country. At the same time, government has moved to secure South Africa's position within global trade system. The successful extension of the African Growth and Opportunity Act, AGOA, provides critical continuity for export-driven sectors. This is a strategic win, Chair. It safeguards jobs in key industries such as automotive manufacturing and agro-processing. It stabilizes investor confidence and opens space for further expansion into the United States market, which is a very huge market, and it's important for us to keep that market going. Domestically, structural reforms are also targeting the ease of doing business, particularly for SMEs, which remain the most scalable source of job creation. The business licensing bill currently underway represents a decisive shift towards reducing administrative friction, standardizing licensing processes, and lowering barriers to entry. This is about unlocking entrepreneurial dilution of energy of scale. This is about unlocking entrepreneurial energy of scale. However, deregulation cannot equate to a dilution of labor standards. Department of Employment and Labor's role is to ensure that as entry barriers fall, compliance becomes simpler, smarter, and more accessible, bringing more enterprises into the formal economy without compromising workers' protection. Chairperson, Department of Employment and Labor cannot afford to be reactive in the environment that is prevailing currently. The future of work demands a forward-leaning regulatory and policy posture that accommodates non-standard forms of employment, strengthens social protection for vulnerable workers, and anticipates shift in skills demand. This includes building framework to regulate digital labor platforms, expanding active labor market policies, and ensuring that no segment of the workforce is left behind in the transition. The central question, therefore, before us is whether this recovery translates into jobs. That is where the department is located, at the point where economic reform must convert into labor market outcomes. The APP reflects a department that is repositioning itself to play the role with greater precision, to strengthen enforcement, expand employment services, modernize its systems, and sharpening its policy instruments. In Program 1, Chair, the administration program is focused on building the internal capability of the department to deliver on its mandate. The department is driving a 90% implementation of its digital transformation plan alongside the rollout of cybersecurity framework. This is about improving service delivery and protecting institutional systems in an increasing digital environment. Chairperson, at the same time, the department is addressing capacity constraint by targeting vacancy rate of 10% or less, while strengthening accountability through the finalization of 80% of misconduct cases within 90 days. There is a deliberate drive towards institutional reform anchored in the ongoing reconfiguration of the department and the unbundling and repositioning of unemployment insurance fund and compensation fund, targeted for near full implementation over the medium term. Financial administration is allocated approximately 1.15 billion rands, largely driven by personnel and operational costs. On Program 2, inspection and enforcement services remain the backbone of labor market regulation. The department is scaling its inspection program to over 313,000 workplaces annually, ensuring that labor laws are enforced consistently across the economy. This is completed by a strong focus on consequence management, the target to serve 97% of non-compliant employers with notices within 14 days and to resolve or refer 70% of cases within 30 days signals a shift towards a more decisive and responsive enforcement regime. Importantly, the department is laying the ground for the future expansion through the proposed National Labour Inspection Program, which includes the creation of additional inspector capacity and the digitalization of the inspectorate to improve efficiency and coverage. The program is allocated approximately 702 million, with the majority directed towards personnel, reflecting the labor-intensive nature of enforcement. Program 3, Public Employment Services, is the department primary instrument for labor market activations. The APP sets out scaled approach to connecting work seekers with opportunities. The department targets the registration of over 1 million work seekers, the listing of 125,000 employment opportunities, and the placement of 75,000 individuals into work and learning opportunities. In addition, 280,000 work seekers will receive employment counseling, ensuring that support is not only about access but also about readiness. Beyond service delivery, the department will finalize the national employment policy, advance the employment service legislative framework, and implement a national labor migration policy pilot. It will also develop framework to coordinate public employment programs across government, strengthening a whole government approach to employment creation. Financially, the program, Chair, is allocated approximately 739 million. On Program 4, this program anchors policy and regulatory environment of labor market. It ensures that labor standard remains relevant, balanced, and responsive to economic conditions that we are faced with. Key deliverables include the annual review of the national minimum wage, the publication of employment equity reports, and the timely processing of labor organization registration and collective agreements. These functions are critical in maintaining a stability, fairness, and predictability in the labor market. The program also plays a forward-looking role through the production of labor market research and trend reports. Chairperson, the APP that we are outlining will be carried out by one provincial office in Eastern Cape, 16 labor centers, 5 satellite offices, 1 Tusong center, 80 visiting points, 9 self-help kiosks, and 2 mobile employment centers. In Gauteng, Department of Employment and Labor as a provincial office, 26 labor centers, 1 satellite office, 5 visiting points, 12 self-kiosk, and 2 mobile employment. The footprint of the Department of Employment and Labor in the Free State, we have 1 provincial office, 11 labor centers, 3 satellite offices, 3 Tusong centers, 1 mobile bus, 6 help kiosks. In KZN, provincial office 1, 16 labor centers, 5 satellite offices, 14 Tusong centers, 44 visiting points, 7 self kiosks, and 2 employment sectors with 2 mobile buses. In Limpopo, Chairperson, there is 1 office, provincial office, 13 labor centers, 7 satellite offices, 7 Tusong centers, 20 visiting points, and 18 self-help kiosks and 2 buses. In Mpumalanga, then we have 1 office, provincial office, 14 labor centers, 3 satellite offices, and 12 Tusong centers, 21 visiting points, 44 self-help kiosks, and 1 bus. In the Northern Cape, there is a provincial office, 1 labor centers, there are 7 empowerment centers, 1 Tusong centers, 3 visiting points, 89. And self-help kiosks, there are 5. There is 1 bus for mobile services. The Department of Employment and Labor has provincial office in Northwest as well, 10 labor centers, 6 Tusong centers, and 25 visiting points, 24 self-kiosks, and 2 buses. In the Western Cape, we have 12 labor centers. In fact, we have 1 provincial office, 12 labor centers, 8 satellite offices, 1 empowerment center, 93 visiting points, and 8 health kiosks with 1 mobile bus. Among the labor centers, there are those that do the excellent work. There are those where much improvement is needed, and we are committed to make sure that all labor centers are performing at the maximum capacity and they deliver services as our people expect. We want to improve on delivering services to our people, in particular the vulnerable workers of this country, whom we believe we owe it to them that they get faster and quicker services. Our offices' turnaround time must also improve, and we are working towards that in making sure that when we deliver service, we deliver quality services to our people and they are able to get help as soon as possible. Chairperson, this is a matter that the administration is looking into to make sure that we resolve all challenges. In particular, it is winter now. To have long snail-pacing queues in the cold, obviously the situation should be changed even if it was summer. But we are working very hard to change this. In closing, Chair, we have just celebrated Workers' Day. As we are continuing with the Workers' Month, we reaffirm that decent work remains central to human dignity. We reaffirm that economic growth without inclusion is unsustainable. We restate that labor rights are human rights, and we reaffirm that the state must remain an active participant in shaping a fairer and more inclusive labor market. The Department of Employment and Labor and supported employment enterprises are not without challenges, but neither are they without purpose, progress, or potential. Our responsibility is to consolidate what is working and correct what is failing, and relentlessly improve our ability to serve the people of this country. In that spirit, we welcome the oversight role of the Select Committee, not as an obstacle, but as a necessary democratic instrument that strengthens accountability, transparency, and delivery. Together, Chair, we believe we must ensure that what we promise our people, in particular, what we must ensure that the promises of Freedom Day that we have celebrated and the sacrifices remembered on workers, they are translated into tangible socio-economic progress for the people of South Africa and everyone whom we believe we need to serve in the Republic of South Africa. Chair, I thank you. I'm going to hand it over back to you, and the acting DG is going to take over, Chair, and will do exactly how you instructed us to do in making sure that we get straight to what needs to be heard. Thank you very much, Chair, DG. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, DM. Good morning, DM, Chairperson, honorable members, as well as the colleagues on the platform and the stakeholders. I also just need to indicate that I was also in the PC this morning, and also given the importance of the Select Committee, I've also joined subsequently to that. And as the chairperson has indicated, I just want to underscore the point that, yes, we had to, when we were putting the APP of the department, we also had to ensure that the APP that we put together, it must be quality assured and make sure that our internal audit, as well as the AG has sight of it to ensure that it meets the criteria that they have set, and also in the interest of time and making sure that we do address the respective issues, as you've indicated, Chairperson, that you want to be taken through the outcomes. I will ask the administration as well, followed by the PES and the IES, to really take the committee through, focusing not only on the activities but on the outcomes, so that you can see exactly the work that the department is doing under the leadership of the minister and the DMs. And without further ado, and in the interest of time, with the guidance that you've indicated, I will ask DDG Bahumi to take the platform and address it as indicated, Chairperson. Thank you. If that's in order.
Good morning. Good morning, Chair, Honorable members. Good morning to the GM and the acting DG and my colleagues on the platform and other stakeholders that are attending the meeting. I'm going to go through my tableau. Can you please put up the administration presentation? Tabs.
Chair, if I may, Matapela did indicate that she was having challenges, but she asked me to make Mr. Waleli Dluengu a co-host and give us hosting rights so you could share the presentation.
Okay.
That's perfect, as long as we can get going. Thank you. Okay, I don't see any movement, Mardia. Can you just check for us, please?
Will do, Chair.
They've only got 45 minutes to present. There we are. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Chairperson. The first program 1 contributes to strategic priority number 3, which is building a capable, ethical, and developmental state. And I'm not going to read the statement of intent. I think I'll assume that since the presentation was shared, we would have read. I'll go through the points that I think the Chairperson has raised that we should emphasize on. In terms of the performance indicators for APP 26-27, we've got under administration, the first outcome that we are seeking to address is the digital transformation across the state. And the output is a project plan for digital transformation of the department, and we should develop that and implement it. And then the output indicators is a percentage of departmental project plan for digital transformation of the departmental services implemented by the 31st of March every year. In the first financial year, we seeking to achieve 90% of that plan. In 2027-28, 95%. In the outer year of the MTF, we want to achieve 100% of the plan. And in the year 26-27, we've got it broken down in terms of the quarterly targets as indicated there, the 90%. It's a cumulative target, starting with 25%, 50%, and 75%, and 90% in the outer quarter 4. Let's go to the next slide, please. The next slide, it's about a secured cyberspace, and the output is cybersecurity strategy developed and implemented. So the indicator that we set ourselves is implementation of the Center of Internet Security. The CIS controls a project plan by the 31st of March every year. Similarly, 26-27, we've got 90%. Second year, we've got 100%. And in 28-29, the strategy will then be due for review. We will review our cybersecurity strategy. And then we broke it down similarly to the digital transformation per quarter. We've got those quarterly targets set out. And in the last quarter, we will then measure ourselves against a 90% target. Let's go to the next slide. The next slide is on outcome. It's an ethical, capable, and professional public service. Our output is filling of funded vacancies, and the output indicator is to reduce the vacancy rate by the end of the financial year. For 26-27, we set ourselves a target of 10%. 27-28, it's 10% also. And 28-29, we've got 9% or less. We want to, that's an ambitious target that we set ourselves in 28-29. And then in the 26-27 financial year, our quarterly targets will stay the same at 10%. We intend to reduce the vacancy rate up to 10%. Let's go to the next slide. The next slide is about the outcome is mainstreaming gender empowerment of youth and people with disabilities. So in this particular financial year, we're targeting women, gender responsive recruitment. We targeting percentage of SMS positions occupied by women per annum. Gender parity for 26-27 is 50% target. 27-28 is 50. 28-29 we maintain the same percentage even throughout the quarter. Every quarter we measure ourselves against 30% target that we set ourselves. Let's go to the next slide. 13, it's about the outcome is an ethical, capable, and professional public service. Outputs is consequence management cases addressed. The output indicator is a percentage of consequence management cases related to misconduct to be finalized by employment relations within 90 days. So 80% of those cases must be finalized within 90 days of receipt. Those are cases that qualify to be attended to. Then we'll have to finalize them within 90 days. And the target is across the board, 27-28, similar target, 28-29. And every quarter, it's the same target of 80%. And this is a universal target that cuts across all government. And I believe that it was agreed for at the bargaining chamber. Let's go to the next slide. It's on the DEL reconfiguration. The outcome is improved governance and performance of public entities. As we know that the DEL reconfiguration and UIF unbundled project is seeking to unbundle the UIF and CF so that they can perform optimally. The output indicator is percentage of milestones on the project plan for the DEL reconfiguration, including unbundling of UIF, and the CF will implement that. In the current financial year 26-27, we targeted 90% of the plan. 27-28, we will then fully implement the plan at 100%, even in 28-29. And then in the current financial year 26-27, we've got the quarterly targets broken down as shown on the screen to lead to the 90% annual target. The next slide, please. Next slide is the outcome is an ethical, capable, and professional public service. And the output is payment of invoices within 30 days. And the output indicator is percentage of invoices paid within 30 days. 26-27, no negotiation. It's 100% of all those invoices to be paid within days of receipt, 30 days of receipt, sorry. The same target throughout the MTF and the same target in every quarter of the financial year 26-27. Let's go to the next slide. The next slide is on the outcome is mainstreaming gender empowerment of youth and people with disabilities. Procurement of goods and services from the designated groups. Output indicator is a percentage of goods and services procured from the selected groups, the women, youth, and people with disabilities per financial year. 26-27, we're targeting 30% from women-owned companies, procurement from 20% youth-owned companies, and 3% from people with disability-owned companies. And it goes on like that throughout the MTF period. And then in the current financial year, the same target still stands. And then let's go to the next slide. This slide is about it's also same outcome, ethical, capable, and professional public service, where we have an output of efficient and effective communication. Number of communication activities aim to increase visibility and awareness of DEL services and programs. 26-27, we targeted 60 programs, 27-28, 80, 28-29, 100. And then we broke down 60 in equal targets every quarter, as shown on the screen. Next slide. The next slide, okay, let's go to the next slide. We're showing the changed targets or new targets that we've adopted in the new financial year. We've got the outcome of having an ethical and capable professional public service. I think it's a common thread within administration. The output is to conduct institutional reviews and skills audit in the department, and the output indicator is percentage reduction in skills gaps in the department per annum. In 26-27, we're targeting 20% skills gap reduction. And 27-28 is 30%, 28-29 is 40%. And in the year 26-27 per quarter, we've got different targets. For example, in quarter one, to reach the 20% skills gap reduction, we're going to develop a competency framework. We've already started with that work. In quarter two, we do the consolidation of the list of critical competencies compiled flowing from the competency framework. In quarter three, we then develop the skills implementation plan. Quarter four, we then implement the 20% skills gap reduction by taking those people that need to be skilled through training. Let's go to the next slide. These targets, by the way, let's go to slide number 18, Matapelo. Just want to see what's there. There's something that I left out that's important. Mr. Zongu, let's go to slide 18. Okay, no, it's fine. Thank you. Can move to the next slide. Yes. And then the next slide, the previous slide, the target is also aligned to the minister's performance agreement with the president. And then this one also, it is aligned to the minister's performance agreement. It's also, the outcome is an ethical, capable, and professional public service and ensure output. The output is ensuring completion of financial disclosures by identified personnel. The percentage of compliance rate with financial disclosures per annum in 26-27, we're targeting 90% throughout the MTF. And then the annual target for the 90% for the disclosures, it's in quarter one, we targeted 90% of SMS disclosure between the 1st and the 30th of April each year, which already should have been done as we're speaking. And in quarter two, we will then target the next level, which is the MMS level 11 and 12, the occupational specific dispensation levels 11 and 12, and all supply chain and finance officials from all the levels, level 1 to 12, disclosures between the 1st of June and the 31st of July each year. So that will be measured in quarter two. That target is only confined to those 2 quarters. So in quarter 3 and quarter 4, we don't have a target. And this is also a new indicator, which I said it's also aligned to the minister's performance agreement. Let's go to the next one, 21. Slide 21, please. Yes. Slide 21 is about the performance agreement. It's also ethical, capable, and professional public service. The output is management of the individual performance of the department and public entities, senior management level and SR, or senior management level, and SR 1 to 12. The indicators is that percentage of individual performance agreements should be entered into by the end of May each year. So this month is a hectic month for performance agreements, 26-27. We're targeting 90% of those performance agreements to be completed by May, by the end of this month. And then 27-28, it's 93% to be completed by the end of May each year. And then 28-29, we're targeting 95%. Our target was set on the basis of the current performance, and we tried to add on a few percentages just to enhance the performance rate of the department, and also encourage colleagues to make sure that they enter into performance agreements without fail. Now, the percentage for the performance agreements completed by the end of the year, we only have a target for quarter one, which is by the end of May for everyone in the department. It's also aligned to the minister's performance agreement. Let's go to the next slide. I will skip the financial part. I think the CFO is in the meeting and he will then deal with the finances. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, Chairperson. Thanks to the DM.
Good morning. I am going to be.
Can you take the committee through?
Thank you, DG. I am Millie Reuters and I'm the Chief Inspector responsible for occupational health and safety, standing in for the Inspector General. Can we please go to slide number 27? Apologies, slide number 25. Slide number 25 is the APP for the Inspection and Enforcement Services branch. Our key focus when it comes to the outcomes is to reduce poverty and improve livelihoods. We are doing so through an output where workers are protected through inspection and enforcement of all the labor laws. And our output indicator, the first one, is the number of employers, workplaces, users that we inspect per year to determine compliance with labor law. So with employment law. So for 2026-2027, we have 313,009 inspections that we will be doing. There is a 5% increase from the previous year. If we look at our target broken down, it is a cumulative target where in Q1, the inspectorate intends on doing 77,250 inspections. And that will then be doubled in the second quarter, taking us to 156,503, and ultimately leading up to Q4, where we will have the total of the 313,009 inspections. If we go to slide number 27, where it is just the breakdown of our inspections per labor law. If we look at the employment equity, there's the breakdown per province on how many inspections will be done. We will be doing 3,490 inspections. And the Basic Conditions of Employment Act, that is where the bulk of our inspectors are. They will be doing 177,307. Then occupational health and safety, we will be doing 103,799 inspections, followed by employer audit services. This is for Unemployment Insurance Act and the Unemployment Insurance Contribution Act. They will be doing 18,749 inspections, and the Compensation for Occupational Injuries and Diseases Act enforcement, there will be 9,664 inspections, giving us a total of the 313,009 inspections. And if we look at the next slide, which is slide number 28, it is just the quarterly breakdown per province of the total number of inspections that will be done. If we look at the targets per province, the target is determined per the number of inspectors that are in that particular province, and each inspector gets a target of what they need to do per month, and ultimately that is what leads to the 313,009 inspections. On slide number 29, it is just to go to our second output indicator. The first one is the inspections that we do. This indicator looks at the percentage of non-compliant employers or workplaces or users of machinery. For those inspected are served with notices in terms of the relevant employment law within 14 calendar days of the inspection. A chairperson and committee members, with this particular output is where we're measuring the enforcement notices that we are issuing, and that is where when an employer is non-compliant, we issue them within the different types of enforcement notices, and our target is that 97% of all the employers that we've gone to needs to be issued with enforcement notices when they are non-compliant within 14 calendar days. This is also a target that needs to be achieved on a quarterly basis. Can go to the next slide. looking at our third output indicator. Our third output indicator is the percentage of those non-compliant employers, users received by statutory services, settled out of court, or referred to the CCMA, or ultimately referred for prosecution. 70% of those that that have not complied needs to be referred to statutory services. It's a unit within the inspection and enforcement services where we have legal personnel that assists the inspectorate with making sure that the files are competent, so that ultimately those employers that are non-compliant, even after they've been followed up, ultimately gets dealt with. The target there is 70%, and it's also 70% throughout the 4 quarters, and it is applicable to all the relevant provinces. If we look at our 4th output indicator, where we have advocacy sessions, the inspection and enforcement services has 3 pillars, which is advocacy, capacity building. Then we do inspections is the 3rd pillar. The 2nd pillar, and the 3rd pillar is enforcement. So when it comes to advocacy sessions, we intend on having 6 formal advocacy sessions conducted per year, and this is to increase awareness with employment law. Those are 6 seminars or conferences. They are then broken down per quarter, where in quarter 1 is where we will have one of these big advocacy sessions. We intend on having 2 in quarter 2, 2 in quarter 3, and then 1 in quarter 4. This is where there is specific criteria that we use to determine these 6 seminars and conferences. There is one-on-one advocacy sessions that provinces does. Those are in the operational plan of the respective provinces. If we go to slide number 33, just to indicate changes that we've made since the tabling. If we look at within the inspectorate, we have 2 priority projects that we have added on the APP. The one is the National Labour Inspection Program. That is the 10,000 permanent inspector posts that needs to be created and filled as pronounced by the President in the SONA. Then priority project number 8 is modernization and digitization of the inspectorate, where we are looking at digital reforms and how do we then do a hybrid inspection so that we are able to have a bigger reach. If we go to slide number 34, that is just a breakdown of the budget or the financial resources that has been allocated to the branch. The branch consists out of management and support services, which is at head office. Then we have occupational health and safety. You would see that there's no money allocated because the occupational health and safety unit within provinces as well as head office is fully funded by the compensation fund as part of the prevention of injuries and diseases program. Then registration services at IES, you can see that there's just over 88 million that is also related to provinces, as well as compliance monitoring and enforcement. The bulk of the compliance monitoring and enforcement budget, which is just over 577 million, is allocated to provinces because that is where the bulk of the activities for the inspectorate is taking place. Then there's training of staff, then statutory and advocacy services. There is a footprint in provinces, and also at head office there is just over 19 million. That brings us to just over 701 million that is allocated to the inspection and enforcement services branch. Thank you, Chairperson, DM members, and DG. Back to you.
Thank you, Millie. Can I hand over to DG Muratoba?
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson and members of the Select Committee, our DM, DG colleagues and members of the public. Two things before I start. I think we provided slide 4, which gave the capacity of the department. You don't have to go back to slide 4. You can remain where you are now. Remain on slide number 35. Slide number 4 provided the breakdown in terms of the capacity and our footprint, and slide number 5 provided levels of employment, unemployment, the unemployment rate, including the GDP, so that there's a sense. Now, slide number 35, what it does, and I listened carefully to the opening remarks of the Honorable Chairperson, is that in the MTDP, we have been identified as one of the key departments in the employment cluster that contributes to inclusive growth and job creation. Now, the contribution to that indicator or strategic priority number 1, in terms of the statement of intent, that is where the impact is normally then measured, and we use different criteria to measure that, especially around inclusive and sustainable economic growth, issues around job creation, transformation, our livelihood support, and fiscal stability, etc. That is why upfront we put the statement of intent in line with the planning framework. Now, 7. We'll start with the issue that we refer to, slide number 37, Mr. Walile. We have a target of 1 million work seekers registered. Now, the 1 million stems from the understanding that there is about 800,000 young people leaving the schooling system, both the higher education institution, the dropouts in the basic, and those finishing the higher education, including the dropouts. But we also have frictional employment. And if you look at those statistics, they are closely aligned to the Stats SA. So that's where we targeted the employment of a registration of 1 million people in the 2026-27 and 1.1 in the 27-28, and a further 1.155 in the outer year. And that is based on the 5% efficiency improvement. And we provide a breakdown in terms of the numbers per quarter. But one of the reasons I must just clarify why we register people is also for statistical reasons, to know where these people are. Stats SA gives us just surveys. We have actual data on the actual location and the qualifications of those people and where they stay. But it is also important for the matching process to also have a readily available data. And currently we are discussing with the social development on the usage of data as they weed out people who are not supposed to benefit the SRD grant, by making sure that people who are available and are willing to look for employment are in the database. And that's the importance of the database. If you can move on to the next slide. Yes, in terms of learning and opportunities registered, obviously this stems from the fact that we don't create employment, although on the UI we have done quite a lot in terms of providing stimulus and contributing to that. But based on the opportunities and the years, the figure on the opportunities registers is 125,000. And we provide a breakdown on how we are going to capture those opportunities per quarter. Next slide. Now, when we register people, we don't just register them and leave them in the database. There is a lot of work that is done in terms of counseling, providing information that assists them to go to small businesses, further learning, and so on. And the challenge and difficulty here has been the tracking studies on the impact of the counseling services. And a lot of young people prefer these services because it opened their doors to go into a number of areas. And we're targeting 280,000, and we provide a breakdown in terms of quarterly targets on the number of people that we are going to provide various employment counseling services. Next slide. And this is the slide that you talked to Honorable Chairperson on the placement of 75,000. Now, this number stems from the capacity we have, but also if you look at the employment, the quarterly labor force surveys, we are not far off because it depends on the opportunities that are there and the speed at which we are able to respond. Granted, the number of opportunities are higher than what we are aiming to place, but there's dependency on the skills availability and a number of other factors. We refer people, we don't force employers to appoint, and that is why the moderate 75,000 is what Treasury has accepted and is in the performance agreement, precisely because of that issue that the employers are the ones that finally decide on the number of candidates that we select, match, assess in terms of our systems, and they appoint and then give us feedback on the ones that they were able to appoint, and we provide a quarterly breakdown. Next slide. So the next slide, the indicator number 5 talks to the job fairs. We're targeting 1 per province, and this is going to be complemented by a number of advocacy campaigns that each of our offices is going to do. Indicator number 6 talks to 2 aspects. The one is the National Employment Policy finalized, and this has got 9 indicators that are within and outside of the department. We are hoping to take it through the public consultation process after we received cabinet approval, and by 31st March we are hoping to have gone back to cabinet to have that considered for gazetting as government policy. And secondly, as part of that indicator, you may be aware, Honorable Chairperson, that we have developed a national labor migration policy and an employment services amendment bill which seeks to implement the national labor migration policy so that we deal with migration in the employment arena and complement the work that is done by the Department of Home Affairs. And we are hoping that we will conduct 2 sessions with the National Council of Provinces, yourselves, Select Committee, and also the in the National Assembly will deal with the Employment and Labor Portfolio Committee. But we are hoping that as you discuss and finalize the bill, which is going to come to Parliament shortly, we will be invited to support you in the various areas. And beyond that, we will be conducting a number of provincial workshops. We will be developing regulations to make sure that we are ready as you finalize the bill. And we will be implementing a number of pilots. And we had quite a list, but given the resources, there's a pilot that is already at an advanced stage that is testing how we coordinate the placement of South Africans abroad, looking at their welfare, making sure that they have the necessary papers, and the government is able to ensure their welfare, and we work with host countries in the same way that we'll be looking at the review of bilateral agreements and working with the neighboring countries in the SADC region to look at the employment of people from foreign countries and the SADC countries in our country, so that we deal with the concerns that our people are having and the marches that we have seen going on recently. The next slide, number 7, talks to the partnership agreements that we are going to conclude, which is 5. These are high-level agreements that are going to include partners that we extend funding. If you look at our budget, as I'll outline, you'll notice that we do a lot of transfers now. The whole idea is that these entities also contribute to our indicators as outlined. And the last one, indicator number 8, on the policy framework on the public employment programs, has to do with assisting with the coordination of the 106 public employment programs over and above determining standards and salaries, that they make much more meaningful impact. And based on the studies that we've commissioned with both the Nelson Mandela University and the HSRC, and working with all other government departments that are implementing public employment programs. And we have a framework that we have developed that we are now taking to clusters and cabinet, and we will be releasing it for public comment, and hopefully it will also become a policy framework on the coordination, planning and implementation of public employment programs. Now, the slide number 44 and up to 47 provides a provincial breakdown on how each of our provinces are going to contribute to those indicators. And beyond this, honorable members of the select committee, we do have a labor center breakdown in line with slide number 4, where we have under each province how each of our labor center, for instance, in the Eastern Cape, will then contribute to the actual annual target. You can skip slide number 47 because it's a repetition of all that. And then slide number, you can skip that slide, move on, Mr. Dwengu. We then provide indicators that are linked to the Minister of Employment performance agreement, mainly the NEP, and also the SONA, where we lifted the NEP. The president talked about employment. The president also talked about the question of migration, which we are also involved. We lifted that, and then we also lifted the question of public employment programs. The last slide is on our budget. If you can move on. Yes. Now you'll notice that from our budget, we provide funding to SEE, Productivity SA, and we also fund designated organizations that provide employment for persons living with disabilities over and above the SEE. But we have also received an additional funding, which we are going to submit in our adjusted or an addendum to the APP of 459 million, pushing our budget just above 1.1 billion to assist in the Presidential Youth Employment Initiative and working with entities such as the IDC, Harambee, and a number of other agencies in those areas that are going to assist us in tackling the youth unemployment. Thank you very much, DG.
Through Chair, Mr.
Oh,
Ndebele?
sorry, DG. Thank you very much, DG. Honorable Chairperson, esteemed members of the Select Committee, the DM and the DGs and colleagues. Let me premise our presentation by pointing out that our labor laws serve as foundational pillars for transformation change. And through them, we seek to shift power dynamics, ensure that we promote social justice through fairness, and ensuring workplace dignity. Through our laws, we seek to establish pillars that act as levers of change in the promotion of equality and inclusion. And we also seek to redress or deal with issues of redressing historical inequalities, thus entrenching our constitutional rights to equality into the employment relationship. Next slide. Thank you very much. Chair, we will continue to advance equity in our labor market. We believe in our attempt to reduce poverty and improve livelihoods. The advancement of equity is critical as a poverty fighting mechanism. And in that space, as you've seen on the issue of national minimum wage, which the minister will always approve on the first of each year. For us, this is a life-changing adjustment that affects over 6 million vulnerable workers. And it is therefore important that we continue engaging in this particular space as we seek to improve our workers. Next slide. The issue of the annual EE report and the public register. Through this, Chair, we use it as a transparency tool through which we can deduce progress that we're making in the labor market, but also establish excuses or challenges that are existent or can continue to affect the labor market. And it is critical, this report, in issues of mainstreaming gender, issues of youth and disability. And through this, we are able to then develop policies or responsive policies as we endeavor to break the intergenerational transfer of poverty. Next slide. I think that's the same slide. Next one. Thank you very much. Chair, we continue to have a very effective global footprint. Through our engagement globally, South Africa, we seek to defend jobs and labor standards. How we do that really is that in the meetings and events that we participate and contribute to globally, we ensure that there is no rush to the bottom in terms of the policy options that emanate from the respective negotiations. Currently, we serve as members of the ILO governing body, but also as the chairperson of ARLAC, which is the Africa Regional Labour Administration Center. This is a capacity building institution of English-speaking African countries, consisting currently of 18 African member states. Our minister is currently also chairing that particular body. Our engagements in this platform, Chair, ensures that international labor standards that we use to benchmark our own domestic law, we influence them in terms of equity, fairness, and social justice. We ensure that our engagement also creates a common environment wherein regionally we are able to influence the labor laws of the countries around our borders so that there's no one who admits or adopts lesser favorable conditions, thus creating a rush to the bottom. So the two reports that we present annually are tools of accountability reflecting on the global promise that we make on issues of fairness, as I indicated, on issues of discrimination, elimination, but also these are the tools that assist us in translating our international obligation into domestic action. Next slide. Chair, the issue of the registration of collective agreements is important for labor market harmony. It is our argument or point that where poverty is worsened, or rather that poverty is worsened when there's labor market instability. So this output speaks about preventing conflict in the labor market before it starts. It's critical that we be aware of the existent labor organizations, their registration, but also their compliance in terms of our laws, because a free-for-all environment creates chaos and will end up with strikes and service disruption contributing to lost wages. So we endeavor in this output, Chair, to continue approving at 100% registration application within 90 days. The speed in which we do this is critical because it's important for either a union or an employer body to know its status in terms of bargaining, but also to engage in a bargaining process legitimately, instead of operating in a legal twilight without knowing their existence. We cover here, next slide, collective agreements. Yes. We cover in this area, Chair, collective agreements, which we have indicated the verification times. In relation to non-representative parties, we seek to verify those within 120 days, quarterly at 100%. Next one. But also in relation to collective agreements with verified within 60 working days, 100% quarterly in that particular space. Let's point out that this verification of unions is critical in relation to collective bargaining, because the collective agreements that emanate from this engagement, it's important even for the workers who are benefiting from this to know that these are legally sound and coming from recognized institutions. Next one. Chair, this one we speak to issues of research. Our approach is simple. You cannot fix what you did not measure. So we use our research agenda as a brain of our labor market policy. Through that, we are able to develop reports on the impact of the labor legislation. Here we have sectoral research that would be completed. The sectoral research, I think it's the next slide with the four research. Next slide. Number 4, yes. Here, Chair, we will continue having the 4 analytical reports, one of which would be a sectoral research, which we will use to provide critical insight into working conditions in our labor market. We will continue to have knowledge dissemination through seminars. In this process, we share benchmarking studies in terms of the findings to protect our workers. We'll also continue our RME Agenda 2030 in terms of operationalizing this. These are aligned research priorities which with national development goals, Chair. And we will continue also in terms of our institutional collaboration, where we identify potential partners and formalizing a research agreement. Chair, importance of these 4 reports is that the sectoral reports take into consideration, for an example, retail or platform economy sectors, which are current key issues in terms of the emerging labor market challenges. Without research of the platform economy, we would seek to regulate blindly. But with research, we get to have an insight into the operations of the sector. We can do targeted inspection. Our policy and enforcement approach would be targeted where we have identified real and immediate harm. Through our knowledge dissemination seminars, our seminars, we really put the findings of the various researchers into the hands of our inspectors, the bargaining council and civil society. So we then ensure that whatever is informing the outcome of this research is able to be deployed by the inspectors or civil society operations. Chair, we continue therefore to produce the 1 flagship report per annum on the impact of labor legislation and employment creation programs. And this report will tell us, I think that's the next slide, this report will tell us where our laws are functional, where jobs are created, and if not, what are the challenges. And we believe that without such, we would be navigating without a clear compass. Thank you very much, Chair.
DG, Acting DG, is that the final presentation? Hello, any response? Ms. Molasani? Nadia, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Chairperson.
All right, I'm just trying to determine whether the presentation has been completed so that we can go over to questions and answers, but I'm not getting a response.
This was the last presentation from the DEL, Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Colleagues, the presentation has been given and 45 minutes later. Very good. Thank you very much for that. Can I please have hands for questions? I see Honorable Pinar, Honorable Satole. All right, I see those 2 hands only. Now we come. Honorable van den Berg, Montwedi. Okay. In that order, I suppose Honorable Mabino will come in a little later. Can we start with you, Honorable Pino, and then go down to Honorable Satoli, Honorable van den Berg, Honorable Montwedi, and Honorable Mabilo? Thank you very much. Over to you, Honorable Pino.
Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning, colleagues, the DM and the DG as well. Thank you for the presentation. My first question, or it's more of a comment, DM. I'm sure a lot of my colleagues in the select committee is going to speak about this. But about 2 weeks ago, actually 2 weeks ago, we were in the Northwest and we visited one of your labor centers. And I want to bring this to your attention because this is what you know, we can't have a meeting with the Deputy Minister without bringing this up, because it's something that's affecting people on a daily basis currently in Klerksdorp. Your labor center that's situated there is completely closed down. The building itself has been condemned by officials. Currently, it's been moved over to the municipal hall. and people are currently standing in line for days at end. On top of that, the so-called labor center is only open 1 day a week, and that's a Wednesday. And people arrive, like I just said, standing in queues for the whole day, sometimes from 6 o'clock in the morning up until 5, and then just being told, unfortunately, we cannot help you today. There's no professional system in place. It's honestly a chaotic atmosphere. And I don't want to speak for my colleagues, but we were visibly upset regarding the conditions, the way people are being treated currently at that labor center. And we would request for you as a Deputy Minister to please urgently intervene and make it a priority. It is really shameful what we saw, and we hope swift action from your side, please. I want to go then over to the acting DG or the DG. Gigi, you spoke in length about, and you were quite proud about your labor inspectors and how many targets and how many businesses they must go inspect. And I want to hear from your side, and maybe the DM can also chip in if he wants to say something about it. But I'm getting the sense you're setting yourself up, and you are setting up a culture of a very much a punitive system with regards to with employers. And I'm wondering not if you're creating a culture of us and them, the department against employers. You must always remember that it's the employers that employ people. It's not government, it's not the unions and labor, it's employers. And I want to know that, do you see it as a punitive system with regards to the Department of Employment and Labor, or do you see it as a cooperation, more of a taking hands in ensuring employers out there do the right thing? If I can just get your sense on that. Another question I have, again, you spoke at length about the target for your inspectors. Are your inspectors, maybe the chief inspector can answer this, are you reacting based on complaints or tip-offs, or are you just going about and inspecting? Again, because if it's just about going around and you have to, and inspectors have to reach certain targets, you create a system where they're going to go look for something, and I don't know if that's the right culture to set in the government sector, where again it's an opposition culture that's being created. On top of that, I can tell you firsthand, as an economic cluster, we speak to a lot of businesses, and I myself do as well from Limpopo. And there's a lot of allegations regarding bribe allegations regarding labor inspectors. I don't know, is there any pending cases against inspector where they are soliciting bribes from employers? If you don't have those figures, that's completely understandable. I will write a written question to the minister to find out if there are any allegations and how many there are. Again, DG, you were very proud about your 100% labor organization registration target, but I didn't see your target for the employer organization registration. So again, you're focusing so much on the labor organizations and unions. What is your focus on the employers? I didn't see that targets. If it was there, apologies, then I missed it. But I saw you focusing very much on the union registration, not employer organization registration. And again, in closing, Chairperson and DM, again, Labour Department and Employment and Labour Department should be seen as a partner in creating jobs and not the enemy of the employer. And I say this that together moving forward, we all know the current unemployment figure in South Africa, and if we start being punitive, this will discourage employers from employing more people, and not the other way around. Thank you, Chairperson. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Over to the Department for responses. I think the first comment was not a comment, it was actually a question that is very concerning. So if you could respond to Ms. Honourable Pienaar before I go over to Honourable Sithole.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Honourable Pienaar. Thank you very much. We understand very well the issues you have raised, and we respect them. We are in agreement in many things that you are saying. Chair, on the Klerksdorp office, personally, I agree, and we take the responsibility that that office is really not assisting our people after its closure, which has been quite some time. And the biggest challenge that we're having is that the building that we're using was condemned, and we had to look for a new building through the processes of government. The landlord of government is Public Works. We've been waiting for more than a year for a building to be allocated to the department as new offices. That process has been ongoing, and it has been my apologies, it has been moving at a snail pace, Chairperson, at a very, very slow pace. We are working very hard. The DG is leading that process in making sure that that office does indeed become an ordinary office like other offices. It's working. We do have a place in Klerksdorp. The office in the hall, in the municipal hall, is a temporal measure just to have some means and ways of having people to access our services. But what we're doing is that we're using our bus largely in Klerksdorp and in other visiting points in Klerksdorp. We're using our mobile bus to reach as far as possible the people who are affected by the closure of our office. So we are trying to mitigate the challenges that are there, but it is undesirable. We agree with you, Honorable Pinar, and we are moving very fast. We are going to make sure that that office is as ordinary as many other offices. And then the issue, do we see the approach that we are using of inspection and enforcement as a punitive method or a punitive system? That not at all. It's just that, Honorable Chair and Honorable Pinar and members, what comes out alive more is the issue of inspection and enforcement when we go out and visit companies to do inspection work. But within the inspection and enforcement work program and the strategy, we have different pillars. There is one pillar that we are using now, we are going big on it, trying to exactly deal what Honorable Pinar is correctly raising to question. Because ours as the department will never be about being punitive, but it's about justice, it's about social justice for workers, but it's about respect of our labor laws and the rule of law in South Africa. But on the other hand, we have a responsibility to protect business and make sure that business thrives. But we can't ignore those who are undermining and disrespecting our labor laws. That's why we're using advocacy pillar as one of our pillar. I normally call it carrot and stick kind of an approach. When we do inspection and enforcement, that's a stick approach where we come to you, we do inspection, we enforce, we do everything. But we've got an advocacy pillar, which I call it a carrot approach, where we say, we are coming to you, we want to work with you, we want to assist you, we want to develop you to understand our labor laws, we want to make sure that you are complying. We are going big on that, as you have seen us in many other areas. Currently, even with the Chinese, some Chinese companies in Newcastle, we have engaged on that process, which seems to be going to be yielding results. Because at the end of the day, members, it's true what Honorable Pinar is raising, and what we have identified as the department is that, yes, we have a responsibility for inspection and enforcement, but on the other hand, we must make sure that whatever that we do does yield the results at the end of the day. You can do inspection and enforcement every day, but do you get the results that are desired? The issue of compliance, do you get it? Do you get people who are employing illegal undocumented immigrants stopping to do that? So we are going big on advocacy pillar as well, where we are educating employers and assisting employers to understand the impact, but also to understand how to go about complying with our laws. We are making it easy for them. We are striking that balance, Honorable Pinar, literally now, and we've been doing it, but we are going big on it as well. We will never be an enemy of business. We have the dual responsibility of both workers and business, and to make sure that there is employment that is created, but also workers are paid decent jobs and business is thriving, they do make profit, they expand, they employ more people, and we take them out of poverty. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much. DM, Honorable Sutoli, you next, but could I just ask when the department or anybody responds that we try and do it concisely because of time constraints. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. Mr. Ndebele. There was a question on the targets on employer registration. Just to clarify that, the target is for both the registration of employers and workers. So we seek to achieve those within the stipulated time frame. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, it's moderator. I just want to respond to the other two questions from Honorable Pinar. Can I do so?
You can, but keep it short and sweet.
Thank you. With regard to the DMS responded to the first two, just a question with regard to how do we do our inspections? Is it based on complaints or tip-offs? When it comes to the inspection and enforcement services, we have two ways of doing inspections. The first one is what we call proactive inspections, and the second is reactive. So in our more than 300,000 inspections, it's a mix of proactive and reactive inspections. Reactive inspections is where we have a complaint, where we have a tip-off, where we have, for instance, an incident that has taken place. That will then trigger an inspection. Then the bulk of our inspections are proactive inspections where we've identified problematic and high-risk sectors. The problematic sectors, like for instance, I'll use agriculture as an area where in those particular areas is where we will be doing our proactive inspections, highlighting what the DMS said, including advocacy, etc. And the high-risk sectors will, for instance, be, let's say, the construction sector, where tip-offs that is normally done through anonymous means or where we get direct complaints from our customer care. The last question was with regard to allegations of bribes of inspectors. With this particular one, we do not have anything currently with us where there is this allegations. Our deputy minister always indicates that if there are any allegations of bribes, that people should come forward so that we are able to fully investigate and deal with inspectors that have taken bribes. We do get this talked about, but when it comes to physical complaints or hard copy complaints, we do not get such. Thank you, Chairperson.
Chairperson, it's Jackie, the acting DG. I just want to also elaborate on the issue of the bribe allegations. I just want to indicate that if there is such, we do implore the public to go into our website where they can report such cases, and we are quite happy to investigate those and bring those people to book. So we've got a website and we've got an email where they can identify those, and even with the inspectors, they do wear badges, and if they can identify them and provide us with the names and the necessary details so that we can ensure that we follow through with those complaints. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Chairperson, may I come in quickly on that one just to re-emphasize what the DG said? Sorry, DG, to talk after you've spoken. But the cases, we only had 2 cases in 24-25, and Millie is quite right. 25-26, we don't have any cases. So that's how the trends are looking like, because we depend on people to actually come forward and not leave it as a rumor out there. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Honorable.
Thank you, Honorable Sutoli.
No, thank you very much, Chairperson. Good morning to your good self, the DM, the TG, and all the delegates that are forming part of this meeting. My first question is, what are the current unemployment statistics in the current financial year? Is it going to be better or worse with current fuel and oil crisis that we are experiencing now? And then the second one is the government has embarked on a number of job creation projects and programs, but they seem to be too much concentrated in the urban centers like Johannesburg, Cape Town, and Durban, Port Elizabeth. What about the rural areas and the provinces? Now, I've got two comments here that the Department of Employment and Labor needs to help its employees to get used to this new added responsibility of employment within the department. And the second comment is that promotions and roadshows should be organized to make the department accessible to ordinary South Africans. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honourable Sithole. Over to whoever's taking the questions.
DG, can I come in?
You can come in, I'll come up to you. DG.
Okay. Thank you, Honourable Sithole. I think we did provide a slide number 5, which gives you a sense of employment levels per province at the end of quarter 4, slide number 5. The job creation projects, the 106 that we know are located in various government departments, and to my knowledge, they spread across a number of areas. And we have COPTA on the community works program that also makes sure that the EPWP and others make a reach. But if there are still areas that are not reachable, I'm sure it will be important to bring that to the attention of the municipalities or even ourselves, so that we can talk to the various leaders of the public employment programs to extend the reach in other areas. Now, we have, as the department, embraced the issue of employment since the name change, and there are a lot of projects in the department, areas such as labor migration policy, national employment policy, restructuring of the department, and unbundling of UIF, the question of labor activation programs, etc., are all in relation to embracing that mandate as extended to us. And yes, we did say that we have 9 job fairs, but beyond that, we do have, through our labor centers, through all our programs, the Yazini program every Friday that seeks to reach out to various communities in extending our service delivery. Thank you, DG.
Thank you, DG. Thank you very much, Honorable Sithole. On the issue, just to elaborate on the issue of job creation program, it's a very critical area that we are really alive to, and this is what necessitated us to even reconfigure the labor activation program to be much more focused towards job creation and creating a pathway to sustainable jobs. So this is quite a critical area, especially the rural economy, making sure that we really begin to look at those particular areas, because we need to be inclusive as we build this economy and not leave everybody out. So we are hard at work, and we want to be having full footprint ensure that we do in the main ensure that there is job creation and creation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honourable van den Berg, your hand was up and I see it has been taken down. I don't know if you still have a question or two.
Yes, Chair, I do. I'm sorry, I had to switch devices and that's probably why it went down.
Thank you
Can
very
I
much.
continue?
Over to you. You may.
Thank you. DG, you have not spoken to this to your interaction with other departments. I'm thinking about small business development and also maybe tourism being a large employer. So, if you can please speak to your how you plan to work with these other departments, especially in terms of labor opportunities and labor creation, so that we can get rid of that silo effect. And also, I might have missed it, but you have not spoken a lot about your wasteful and unlawful expenditure, and I would love to also just get some enlightenment there. You have spoken about digitalization, and I'm glad about that. And I actually would like to hear more about that. That's the three things that I would like to bring to the table. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Over to the responders.
DG, can I come in on the working with other departments?
Okay. You can come in.
Okay, thank you. No, Honorable van der Berg, in government, we have got what we call an economic infrastructure and employment cluster that brings in about 17 departments. And we are part of that, and we form part of that economic cluster that coordinates all employment interventions in the country. The DG talked about the Presidential Pathway Management Network, the Department of Tourism, Public Works, and all that form part of that. And through the lab, we also have arrangements where we have specific projects that are agreed with the tourism, with a number of departments, and there are others in the pipeline that we are also exploring. And I talked about the partnership agreements, where we also, for instance, in a number of areas where they are specifically focused on employment interventions. If you look at the teacher assistance programs, that the basic education, we're talking to higher education on the question of placement of TVETs graduates that are unable to achieve their certificates because they've not completed their learning. So there are a range of programs. Public Works, we are also working with them in making sure that we improve the quality, focus, planning, and implementation of those programs, and making sure that they are better coordinated. It's just that in terms of the APP, we put what is within our control, but in working and doing this work, we are part of a broader community of departments that is tasked with the employment, economic, and infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, TDG. Just to also elaborate on that, we are also working with the Department of Small Business, because we all understand that the small business is going to be quite critical in creating jobs in the economy. And we're also working with the Department of Social Development, because through our programs, we really want to try and ensure that we create sustainable jobs, so that we wean people off the social grant, so that they can earn sustainable jobs. Over and above that, from working with other departments, we also, through the government,
Are we losing you?
trying to be we also
Sorry. I don't know if it's on my side and on whether it's the presenter, but I can't hear her.
It's the presenter, Chair. It's not you.
Chairperson, can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you. Thank
Can you hear
you.
me?
We can hear you. Yes, thank you.
Apologies for that. Apologies for that, unstable network. I was saying that we're working with the Department of Small Business because we realize that the small business is going to be an integral part of creating work going forward, and also working with the Department of Social Development in terms of our work, because the whole idea is that we want to ensure that people are absorbed into sustainable jobs and therefore weaning them off from social grants. Over and above that, we are also working with business so that we have a holistic and integrated approach to employment, making sure that we crowd on all the resources and create sustainable jobs, not only within the government department, but also with the business sector. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you. There are two more questions, wasteful and fruitful expenditures, and the one on digitization. Hello? Am I speaking to myself?
No, Chair, we can hear you.
Could I ask responses to Honourable van der Berg's other two questions on the wasteful and fruitless expenditure? And the mention, he spoke something about the digitalization as well. Thank you.
Chair,
DG, can
I think the DG
I come in on the digitalization?
Yes, please.
There's a big project in the department working with Tech Mahindra to make sure that we extend and make sure that our services can be accessed online. For instance, within the public employment services, we work with young people that are not keen to queue our offices. And if you visit the Department of Employment and Labor website, you will see an increase in the number of online services that we have introduced. Even our mobile bus units, people don't have to go inside. We provide free Wi-Fi. The people guide them on how to access, for instance, UIF, public employment services, where they can do those. There were hitches in the development process where we had to stall the rollout, but we are fixing some of those interventions with the service provider so that we can extend the reach using various platforms and reduce queues from our offices and extend the reach to the general public using the various gadgets, cell phones, laptops, and so on. And even in our labor centers, with the youth centers, we have introduced self-service stations to those who are willing and are able to use computers so that they don't have to queue, and make sure that the staff that we have then concentrate on those that are having challenges and cannot use some of the gadgets, so that we move in line with a number of developments, not only locally. We constantly benchmark ourselves against a number of countries in Africa, Europe, and Asia to make sure that we are not left behind in terms of technological improvements in the ministries of employment and labor generally. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. I hope I'm audible. On the issue of wasteful expenditure, it is an issue, an area that as a department we're paying close attention to, whereby we have to make sure that the loss control processes are being followed, where we need to obviously determine and quantify the amount, and also investigate that action and ensure that there is recovery and from the responsible official if they're found as such. And also we are working very closely with the CFO's office. I'm sure the CFO can also come in and elaborate in terms of strengthening the supply chain management protocols to ensure that we adhere to those prescripts and making sure that there's proper oversight and financial management in that regard. If the CFO can, in a very succinct manner, come in and just amplify on the issue of how we're dealing with the issue of wasteful expenditure. CFO?
DG, I think you have mentioned the loss control processes of dealing with wasteful and fruitless expenditure. We are complying with that. In fact, we had previously backlog on the cases, which we have now dealt with, and we are dealing with the cases as we receive them in terms of investigating and the loss control processes. And where officials are found to where the loss control committee recommends recovery, and the officials are not agreeing with the recommendation, the consequence management in terms of financial mismanagement, where with ER processes are underway. Those processes, I think, are going to be, as we present the annual report, that information is going to be eminent in our report as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Honourable Montwedi.
Oh, thank you very much, Chairperson. A very good day to honourable members on the platform, the Deputy Minister and the officials from Parliament and officials from the department. Chair, let me start with the question by Honourable Binara did raise. This morning I received a call from a gentleman that I think all of us that went to the oversight will remember, the one who ran to us and started explaining his frustrations, that for about 2 months he has been visiting the Klerksdorp office and not getting any services from the Klerksdorp office. The name is Dintle Khotso. So raising the issue around the UIF that is due to him. So I just wanted to find out from this meeting, I want to escalate this matter. I want to know who is the official that I must talk to in escalating this matter. And this is just a tip of the iceberg because not many of those people that were on the lines could have access to our numbers for them to raise their issues. And I'm raising this DM in response to your response, in reply to your response rather to the Honorable Pinar, that you are working very hard on the matter. I honestly don't think you are working very hard on the matter. It's been 2 years now since the Klerksdorp office has been closed. I think the department is not giving the matter of Klerksdorp the necessary attention because the department, in their own presentation, they are saying to us they are meeting their targets in terms of services that they are supposed to be rendering in the Klerksdorp office. So because your targets are met, you are comfortable with that situation. But the reality is that thousands of people in the area are queuing in your offices every day from 5 in the morning up until 5 in the afternoon, and some are returned home because offices have to close as a result of working hours. So, Deputy Minister, try to work hard on this matter to get it to finality. And the last thing on that matter, Deputy Minister, is that your Chief Director, when they were presenting to us in the meeting, indicated that the tender document for the lease of the Klerksdorp office has been sitting with the Minister of Public Works for the last year. And we requested him to say, can they sent that in writing. And as far as I'm concerned, I have not at least received anything in writing as confirmation from your department that indeed a tender document has been sitting with the Minister of Public Works for a year. Hence, the lease is actually not concluded. Now, going back to the other issues of today, just 3 or 4 questions, Chair, is that the department did speak about the digital transformation target. And then now I wanted to check that when we as Parliament assess the credibility of your target in terms of 90% digital transformation target, how do we get to do that when your APP provides no project list, no budget alignment, and there are duplicate indicators, which then gives a suggestion that the plan itself is not finalized? And then the other question, Chair, is around the vacancy rate. UP commits to reducing the vacancy rate to 10% or less each quarter. But the budget shows a compensation of employees increasing from 542 million to 583 million, with no explanation of how this aligns with the vacancy reduction. Now, what concrete HR reforms beyond the routine recruitment justify the claim that the vacancy rate will remain at less than 10% every quarter? And how does this reconcile with the rising personnel costs and ongoing organizational restructuring? Now, the last question, Chair, is around it's around the inspection, allocation on inspection. I just wanted to, I saw on the APP that it sets about just over 313,000 inspections per year across the provinces. Now, yet provinces with the highest unemployment rate, your Eastern Cape and your Northwest, receive lower inspection allocations per labor for size. Now, why does the inspection allocation not correlate with provincial unemployment and vulnerability levels? And how will the department deliver the 313,009 inspections without increasing inspectorate staff and or resources, Chair? Now, the last one that I'm going to end with is on the 90% implementation of the UIF and CF unbundling. And I'm saying this, Chair, because your APP provides no milestones and no legislative roadmap and no financial modeling to support such a major institutional restructuring. So how do you commit to 90% of implementing that when your APP does not provide milestones, your roadmap, and no financial modeling to support such a major institutional restructuring? With those few questions, Chairperson, ke lebogetse nako e o mphileng yone go ka botsa dipotso, ke tla felela fa.
Thank you, Honourable Montwedi. Over to the responders, please. Short and sweet. We've still got 3 people that still want to ask questions.
Okay, I'll kick off with the last question that was asked around the unbundling. I do know that you're quite correct. This is a major reform a project that the department is undertaking. I just need to probably report in this house that we are beginning to make inroads in that regard. We are already taking through one of the entities through the cluster processes and thereafter to cabinet in terms of the UIF unbundling. So in terms of that roadmap, that work is very much happening. Finally, because we had to ensure that processes and get the necessary certification and the engagement through the NETLAC, and also making sure that we engage the state law advisor to ensure that when we submit all these documentations to the respective clusters, they meet the minimum requirements for them to be considered. On the second aspect of it, I will ask Millie and the DG Bahumi to respond on the issue of the vacancy and on the inspectorate. On the issue on the inspectorate, as she can also elaborate on that the department is working very closely, working very hard to ensure that with the interns that we are recruiting, then that will actually strengthen the inspectorate capacity with the interns that we have, with the plan that we will be able to migrate or transition them to full employment of the inspectorate that the colleagues have spoken about. On the issue, let me just then hand over to Millie and Bahumi on the vacancy rate. In that order, please, and elaborate.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, DG. And thank you to Chairperson. With regard to the allocation of inspections and how do we allocate inspections, and why is it that in provinces where there are challenges with employment do we have a lesser inspection target? Our inspection target, as indicated previously, is based on the number of inspectors. If you look at the provinces like Gauteng, KZN, Western Cape and Eastern Cape, that is where the bulk of our inspectors are, and that is based on economic activity, because our inspectors do check compliance with the respective labor laws. In your smaller provinces, we have less inspectors. The inspectors have a performance agreement with a specific number of inspections that they do per inspector, and that is how we get to the overall target of 313,009, because they do monitor compliance with the labor laws in our indicator 1 up to indicator 3. I think the acting DG has spoken to the matter of the inspections that we have to do. What I would just like to also indicate is that when I presented, we did speak about the priority projects also, and one of it is the project 10,000 that the President spoke about in the SONA, and there is a process where we are looking into employing additional capacity of inspectors throughout the provinces, and with different skills and expertise to enforce the different labor laws. Thank you.
Thank you, Acting DG. The response on the vacancy rate, we set ourselves a target of 10%, which is the norm set by the DPSA for all vacancies that are funded. Now, we ended the year, maybe it might be premature, but maybe it's worth mentioning that we ended the year end of March with a performance of 13% on the vacancy rate for the funded posts. And then we set ourselves at a higher target, a more stringent target of 10%, so that we go below the 13%. And we need to put in measures in place to make sure that we meet that target of 10%. It's a whole long list of things, but I'll just pick out on one or two of those. Firstly, the budget that we have on the APP and the budget that we have on our E&E estimates for 26-27, it's aligned to the vacancy rate that we have, the vacancies that we have currently. We went through an exercise in 24-25 financial year where we unpacked our structure, and we looked at the funding that we have, compensation of employees, and we aligned the two and we matched them. And we then identified positions that we won't be able to fund because of the limitation of the budget. While the budget shows that it's going up, it's just a nominal increase. It's not such a high increase in terms of the compensation of employees. Now, that budget that we see on our E&E estimates, it's equal to the budget that we need for the vacancies and the establishment that we have. Now, we then decided that for us to just propel this vacancy rate and make it lower than where it is at 13%, we looked at the implementation of e-recruitment for applications, especially applications at a lower level, where we get a multitude of applications, and sometimes the capacity within HRM is not able to deal with that. So we decided that we will then in-house come up with a system of e-recruitment that is going to help us handle the capacity and the volumes of the applications that we get. And then we also looked at the current standard operating procedures within the recruitment and selection process, that we need to just tweak them a bit and make them more tighter and stringent. So that, for example, where we had to wait for 3 weeks to get the panel sitting after the panel has been approved by the delegated authority, we then give ourselves 2 weeks. Or where we get to shortlist, after shortlisting, we gave ourselves a turnaround time. We reduced it to 3 weeks from 3 weeks to 2 weeks to set up an interview, and we interview and then we appoint. 2 weeks later, we then appoint. So those are some of the measures, among others, that we've looked at to make sure that we meet our set target for the vacancy rate. And I think that's about it, if I understood the question very well, Chairperson. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, DJ.
Maybe just the two other issue that the honorable member indicated in terms of escalating the matter of the UIF, I would probably request that the honorable member writes to, they can write to my office, and then I will take the matter up of the UIF with the commissioner there, so that it can get the urgency that it requires. That is Chairperson.
We keep losing you. Could you just repeat, please?
Apologies for that. I was just indicating that on the matter that the honorable member raised regarding Adintle Khoto with the UIF matter, that they wanted to escalate this matter, that this person was not being paid. I was requesting that should be sent to my office, and I will personally make sure that I send it to the commissioner to make sure that this matter is addressed expeditiously and is being attended to. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Honourable Montwedi. Could I just ask that you drop the acting DG a note with regard to what you said, so that we do have it in writing? And then the other question that he asked is the target with regard to digitalization, the transformation target.
Through you, DG.
Thank you. Carry on, please.
Please proceed.
Can I come through, DG?
Please carry on.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, and good morning to honorable members. Good morning to the Minister and the Deputy Ministers in the meeting, and the senior management of the department, and everyone else who is in the meeting. Chairperson, what has been highlighted is that how do you actually monitor the 90% achievement when there are no milestones presented on the APP? Basically, what happens is that every financial year, looking at the budget of the ICT, and also looking at the funding model, considering the unbundling and reconfiguration, we do draw up an implementation plan and come up with the milestones that will be funded through either the unbundling or through the budget of the ICT available in the department. And when that gets signed off or approved, by the accounting officer, then the implementation thereof will commence, and that will only be for the funded milestones that are in the implementation plan. And the 90% will be the number of milestones achieved in that digital transformation implementation plan that has been approved by the accounting officer. And that is how this can be monitored. And if it is a requirement, that approved implementation plan can actually be shared so that the milestones can be clearly understood and well articulated in the implementation plan. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Honorable Mabilu?
No, thank you
Chair,
very much.
I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry.
Yes,
Can
Honorable Montready?
I kept on losing the presenters, but I just want to know if they responded to the question about the chief director, having said there's a report that they're going to send confirming that the document is with the minister. I may have missed that. I'm sorry, Tate Mabilu.
You're chewing on my time.
Acting DG?
I'm just trying to confer with my colleagues in terms of the chief director who indicated that, to confirm what they indicated. Which chief director, honorable member?
DG, we're trying to contact the CDPO Northwest on your behalf. Maybe we can take another question, and if we get hold of him, we will clarify that question immediately after we spoke to him. Thank you, DG.
Thank you very much. Yes. In light of time, can we go over to Honorable Mabilu? Thank you.
Thank you once again, Honorable Chair, for the opportunity. Greetings to yourselves, members of Select Committee, the DM and DG and all members. Chair, I'll be very brief. I'll have 3 comments and 3 questions. My first comment is that I think we cannot avoid all the subjective and objective factors that contributes to the current challenges globally, i.e. the geopolitics. Secondly, I want to welcome the presentations of the APP and Strat Plan. For me, it's a basis for engagement and a basis for oversight. Thirdly, Chairman, with regard to the Matlausana Klerksdorp Center, colleagues have raised their issues. I was personally there, as well as the DM has attempted to respond. I would want to make a recommendation in this regard. My recommendation is that in terms of government policy and in terms of GIAMA, all government buildings are a custodian of public works. Therefore, I recommend that the DM and the minister must meet with their counterparts, both the Minister of Public Works and the DM, with the express purpose of resolving this challenge. Because once it is not attended to in time, it will have unintended consequences. That is a firm and clear recommendation that I'm recording. Thirdly, Chair, I want to commend the department in terms of the progress that they have reported, that they've got an international footprint in relation to participating in world bodies like the International Labour Organization, which is a world body, which we all know. That's a step in the right direction. Secondly, I'm impressed that they are also spreading to SADC, to Africa, and to the entire region, which is quite a progressive step, and that we have been honored as a country, and that our chairperson, as reported by the DM, is serving or sharing the RLEC, and also the participation of best practice with our African counterparts. We should be encouraged by that kind of development. Chair, coming now to the few questions that I want to pose. One is that the CFO and the team, they have attempted to respond to the issue of filling of vacancies, right and good. But my question as a follow-up will relate to the turnaround time in terms of filling the vacancies, especially those attributed to natural attrition, like death, like resignations, medical boarding off. What is the actual turnaround time? I don't want a broad elucidation on that. I'm specific. What is the turnaround time? Because those are funded posts, those are budgeted for posts. What is the turnaround time? If it is not specific, I'm not saying that they must take a shortcut in terms of the normal filling of vacancies, recruitment and administration, but let them clarify us in terms of the turnaround time. That's the second question. The next question will relate to the 30-day payment. It is commendable. It is on paper. We don't doubt that. But we know that a number of SMMEs, they've went under business because of the delay in payment by some departments. The question that I want to pose to the CFO is that how rigorous are we ensuring that we stick to the 30-day payment? Because that is going to have an implication in terms of the overall view that we have, program of empowering the youth, empowering women with disabilities, and also women. Once the 30-day is not effected in the normal payment, of course, it's going to affect their own participation, and it will then defeat the actual purpose thereof. So my recommendation as well is that there must be rigor and ensure that 30 days is adhered. If they can lessen that, be good, it will be good. Chair, now, recently I want to know, and this matter was not raised, one of the core mandates of the department is to register and deregister trade unions. There's been reports in the past that there was one or two trade unions that was not compliance in terms of submitting audited financial statements for a given period of time, which was more than 6 months, and also audited membership. What I want to know is that is there appetite on the part of the department to deregister such unions that don't comply? Is there appetite in that regard? Last question, Chair. We recently had a disaster in the area that I come from, Kimberley. We know that one of the biggest employer in Kimberley was Ikapa mine. And there was a disaster where life was lost. The question would be to say, given the tragedy that happens, I know one of the officials of the department gave an account in terms of proactive and reactive inspections. I want to check a very important entity or sector like mining. Does it mean that our labor inspectors, even before the tragedy, never ever visited the mine? Otherwise, they could have picked up some of the weaknesses. So thank you very much, Chairperson. I'm confident that under the leadership of the DM and the Minister, this department is being steered in the right direction. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Mabilo. Over to the responders.
Thank you very much, Chair, and may we appreciate the question. Sipondebele, I'll respond to the issue of non-compliance and the opportunity that is afforded to trade unions to correct whatever issues has been identified. as a deficit, but also the appetite from the department to deregister. My response, Chair, would be that as the DM has indicated in responding, I think, to the first question, the department doesn't have an appetite to be punitive. So once we have identified these non-compliance or deficit areas, we do engage with both employer and worker representatives to try and correct that. And indeed, at failure to adhere to agreed timeframes and improvements, that necessitates the next step. And in that particular case, indeed, deregistration can happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. I will respond to the question about the ICAPA mines. Just to indicate to the honourable member that if we look at occupational health and safety, there are areas of exclusion, and mines, when it comes to occupational health and safety, is one of those. The Occupational Health and Safety Inspectorate for mines falls under the Department of Mineral and Petroleum Resources, where they do similar proactive, reactive inspections in the mining area. However, when it comes to matters related to basic conditions of employment, etc., our inspectors do still perform our employment standards related inspections at all employers, but the matter of ICAPA mine is under the jurisdiction of the Department of Mineral and Petroleum Resources. Thank you.
Okay, let me come in on the vacancy. In terms of the regulations by the DPSA, the positions at SMS level are given 8 months to be filled, turnaround time, and the non-SMS are given 6 months to be filled. Thank you.
The response from the CFO on the payment within 30 days. In the department, this has been elevated to the APP and is reported monthly. As at the end of March, I think we are sitting at 98% payment of invoices within 30 days. Yes, there are few invoices that were not paid due to human elements and also system problems. On the human element side, the consequence management is initiated once it is picked up that an official is responsible for non-payment of that invoice within 30 days. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honourable Farmer.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, just based on a question raised by Honourable Sitole, I thought I should just broaden it a bit to the DM. DM, is there, or maybe I should ask the question this way, was there any assessment done, or maybe is there an assessment plan to be done on the impact of the current war and the impact it has on fuel prices specifically on our labor market and how it's going to affect our labor force, because it's affecting me, for instance. I cannot get to wherever I must be. So one can only assume that it can have a devastating effect on our workforce based on businesses and the impact it has and how it affects prices and everything. And I'm just wondering whether an assessment of such a thought has been done already or is planned to be done. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honourable DM, I think the question is posed to you, if you are still here. Okay, while we're waiting for a response on that, I just want to see if Honourable Sabia is still on the platform. I don't pick it up, but can we request whether there's an answer to Honourable Montwedi's question? Department, please, you've got to come to the party. We can't wait so long for a response.
Chairperson, on the issue that was raised by Honorable Montwedi, it relates to the letter, and that is what I seem to recall. I sent you corrected, and the feedback that I've received is that they have been in contact with the CDPO, who has subsequently confirmed that we have received. He has sent the letter, and I just want to assure Honorable Mutwedi that this matter, it will get the necessary attention and the agency it requires in ensuring that we deal with this matter in as quick as possible. I know that the CDPO was engaging with the DDG. If they want probably more elaboration on that matter, I'm sure the DDG can respond to that. That is the first point. Probably just ask the DDG to elaborate or add if possible. DDG?
Thank you, DG. I think that the issue that we must clarify is that he maybe I was not part of the meeting, but what he's saying, and from the correspondence that he just forwarded, coming from Public Works, it is not saying the tender was sitting with the minister. Maybe that should be on record. It is the recommendations of the people in the Department of Public Works that has now been completed to acquire offices on behalf of the department that is in its final stages of approval, and that includes the sign-off by the minister. I think on the other question, DG, we have been in discussions with the trade and industry on the impact of the current geopolitical turnaround of events on the employment, specifically to look at the kind of instruments, just like we did during the COVID period, to check the state of our readiness on, in case we have bloodbath, on how best will we be able to respond in case of loss of employment as a result of closures and so on. So there has been some discussions with the trade and industry and the acting commissioner who came from the trade and industry. And because these issues are fluid, they are still ongoing, but there is work that is being done to look at alternatives on and the kind of measures. And I think recently we also looked at the actuaries within the department and the UIF to look at the standing of the entity, and that in instances of this nature and worsens, what is it? What flexibility do we have, and whether we have sufficient reserves, including maybe some assets that we may liquidate to try and address the scale of unemployment. But that will affect or will be an intervention to those who are in employment and contributing to the UIF. Thank you, DG. Those are the discussions I've been involved in with the various colleagues that are in relation to the question posed by the Honourable Member. Thank you.
Thank you, DDG. On my side, it is not really an assessment that one has done, but I'm just taking just interpreting properly the impact of the geopolitics that could potentially have a bearing on in the labor market. Obviously, this I take it that it will, as the DDG has already indicated, it's bound to have an effect on the reduced absorptive capacity because of these significant shifts that have happened globally. And also, when you look at some of these impacts of what is happening, the impact thereof, it's not going to be uniform. Different sectors will be affected differently. For example, when you're looking at the agriculture and the food sector, they will be affected differently vis-a-vis the ones in the mining sector. Or even the manufacturing. Notwithstanding that, we also have begun to see some of the work that the DTI through the Industrial Development Corporation they are doing in terms of reconfiguring the focus and the mandate of the Industrial Development Corporation to ensure that we are now beginning to focus much more energy investments and even resources around building the manufacturing capability and capacity. And they're also beginning to have very structured partnerships which are going to be counter-cyclical. We have seen even with the current or the recent announcement that they've had to show exactly where they are going and implementing their mandate in line with the global shifts, and also taking into account where the economy needs to go to grow to avert this with the partnership that they're having with the NTSA. So yes, the impact economically, it will be uneven depending on the sectors. However, I believe that we need to be much more proactive and targeted to avert the bloodbath and making sure that especially those industries that will be distressed, we begin to be proactive and engage with those that will be vulnerable, especially dealing with the ones that will require tariffs. It's basically, it's not a study, but this is what one would surmise from the current global economic impact, that how it could in a way have an adverse effect on the economic recovery and even development. And therefore the department needs to be alive to this and act in a very proactive manner. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honourable Modise, welcome to the meeting. I thought you had extended an apology, but you may pose your question.
No, thank you so much, Chair. And yes, indeed, the apology was submitted, but upon finishing early, I thought it's best that I joined the meeting. I'm afraid, Chair, that if I were to ask questions, I will reinvent the wheel because members would have probably covered most of the issues that one would have wanted to raise. And I trust that they would have done so adequately. At least I've had an opportunity to listen from Member Muntwedi all the way, and I can tell that the issues that have been raised by members would have been some of the things that I wanted to raise. What I want to suggest, Chair, is that I think it's Mr. Morotoba Sam to formally withdraw his response in relation to the question that was posed about the tender that is sitting in the office of the minister. I want him to withdraw that response. He was not in that meeting. We were there. And I think it's the director, the chief director for the province of Northwest who made that statement. And he made it more than once, Chair. And we asked him more than once if the tender is indeed with the minister, and he knows that for a fact. And without being apologetic, he did ensure, or he did confirm that from the office they've done everything, and the tender is sitting with the Department of Public Works. So for Mr. Morotova to come and want to give us a different response to what was said to us on the day of the site visit. I don't accept it. It suggests that we are lying sitting in this meeting about what was said to us. And I'm saying this because I was in that meeting. It's not a hearsay, it's not a theory, and it's not a fallacy. So I would suggest, Chair, that he withdraw that statement and we leave it as it is, because we even told that gentleman that you speak more than you listen. And he made a number of contradictory statements when we were on site. At one stage, Honorable Farmer wanted to ask, in fact, Honorable Farmer would have asked him when he referred to the office receiving an award in the coming awards. There's a ceremony that they're going to be attending where they're going to be receiving awards. As to what is this awards that they're receiving, what are they receiving these awards for? When you have people who have been queuing as early as 4 o'clock in the morning and they're not assisted. And there were many contradictions from the team that he was with. One had different views on what is happening and what is on site. So that's why we believed that we need to go back to those that labor center, including the department. Immediately we tried to reach out to the deputy minister. Unfortunately, we could not get hold of him on the day. So please, Chair, ask Mr. Sam to withdraw that response. I don't take it, and I'm sure if you were to allow members to speak, they will also agree that that response must be withdrawn on the basis that of the contradiction that he's giving us now, as opposed to what we were given on the day of the site visit. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honourable Modise, for that. I cannot speak on that issue because I was not part and parcel of the oversight due to a major operation. So, Mr. Marotoba, you have been requested to withdraw the statement that you made. Could you please indicate whether you would do so, because there are contradicting and conflicting responses. Over to you, Mr. Marotoba.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I withdraw, but let me also indicate that when the question was posed, we asked for space to contact the CDPO, and what we were giving through the DG was what was released. It may be best that he was part of that meeting and be someone to clarify that. I did put on record, Chair, that neither myself nor the DG were part of that meeting. That is why we asked for space to contact him to clarify that issue. Thank you, Chair.
Honourable Modise, would you like to respond to that?
I'm happy with the withdrawal, Chair. That's leadership. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, now I have an opportunity to ask some questions. The majority of my questions have been asked, but I would like responses on the following. I've seen that you've introduced major initiatives such as the expansion of the inspectorate and the digital modernization. Unfortunately, the presentation states that these projects will only proceed once funding is secured. And the question that I need answered is how the department justifies presenting these as strategic priorities to us without confirmed budget allocations and implementation certainty. So I'd like to know, as Honourable Mabilo said earlier, we have to speak to turnaround times, and I need a turnaround time. And then the second one on the budget is a significant portion of the budget across programs continue to be directed towards compensation of employees. While unemployment levels remain critically high and placement targets remain comparatively low, what assurance can you as the department provide that the current budget structure is driving frontline delivery and employment outcomes rather than merely just sustaining administrative functions? And then, unfortunately, the DM is no longer on. I know he indicated that he is not feeling well, so I do understand if he has gone off. We've seen organized labor, including COSATU, together with recent court findings on the UIF and the Compensation Fund, having raised serious concerns around governance and operational failures within these entities. So what I need from the department is, what assurance can you provide that the current restructuring and unbundling process will address the root causes of these failures rather than merely just reorganizing the existing problems? And then we spoke about the 10,000 permanent inspectors being appointed, but I need to know, the question that I want to ask is, if funding has not yet been secured, what is the realistic implementation timeline, and how many of these 10,000 posts can actually be filled under the current baseline allocation? And then with regard to your modernization and digitalization issue, has the department conducted a cost-benefit analysis and readiness assessment for this reform? And if so, when can we be provided with those findings? And let me just go down. No, I think that is it. The other questions have been responded to. Thank you very much. Over to you, Acting DDG.
Thank you very much for the question. Maybe I will start, and then the rest of the colleagues will deal with the other issues around organized labor and the inspectorate. Chairperson, around the issue of the unbundling of the entities, it is this is what was a diagnostic report that was done many years back in order to deal with the systemic issues that were plaguing the funds at the time. And there were quite a number of governance and operational and financial issues that were identified, as well as also amplified by the AG. And hence this whole exercise of unbundling was embarked upon. And whilst this has happened in the past, some of the recommendations in terms of the studies that have been done, there has been some implementation of some of the recommendations thereof. And I believe that when the CF and the UIF come and present in terms of the APP and the for both funds, one will begin to see some of the green shoots that are now beginning to materialize in the funds. Notwithstanding that, we do understand, as it was raised earlier by one of the honorable members, that this is one of the major institutional reform undertakings that the department has done. And it is also our firm belief that as we reconfigure and unbundle these funds to be entities, then as a department, we will be having fit for purpose entities with proper institutional frameworks, and also to make sure that we are not going to be constrained by some of the current institutional frameworks. For example, if one wants to look at it with a different prism, some of these funds, in fact, they're probably, one could look at them as like even insurance companies, and you would need to have the speed and agility to manage them as such. So therefore, taking them out of a this environment and making sure that they'll be able to be responsive to deal with the current environment and also to be dealing with the mandates, or rather the clients they need to be dealing with. They will do so in a much more agile and effective manner. On the issue of the budget and the expansion, can Millie and Bahumi respond to those? And in that order, if I've left out some of the other issues, and also deal with the issues of the cost benefit. Apologies.
Okay, thank you, Acting DG. So with regard to the 10,000 additional permanent inspectors, what we have done as the branch is we've drafted a project plan. We have also engaged National Treasury with the CFO. The National Treasury processes for the upcoming financial year starting now, I think in the month of June or July, and we need to engage Treasury on that. However, we have identified areas where we would be able to start with the appointment of the 10,000 additional permanent inspectors. That would be some of it is related to cost savings for early retirements. There are also under registration services as part of the budget for the branch, where we have a significant amount of savings, where we want to utilize those savings under registration services, also to include the 10,000 additional inspectors. There was a structure that was approved for the inspectorate, but due to funding constraints, it was put on hold. So there's already some of the processes have already been finalized, and we will be able to prioritize which of those posts, in particularly for provinces, we would be able to fund based on the available funding. And I think that is with regard to the questions regard to the inspectorate and the projects that we intend on doing. And we are looking at a phased-in approach for the 10,000 inspectors. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Acting DG. Thanks, Honorable Chair. The question on the compensation of employees' budget being higher than the others, it's a fact, and the main reason behind that is that the department, especially through IES, it's labor intensive. Therefore, you will find that there's a tendency that our compensation of employees becomes higher. And for the longest time, I think the National Treasury was more supportive of funding the core business, which is IES, PES, and LP and IR, and lesser on the administration side. So the administration side actually in the long run suffered a situation where you'll find that there's less funding on the admin side as opposed to more funding that we find under the core business, for obvious reasons that core business must then be given more attention, and for the same fact that the chairperson was raising that the budget structure should actually demonstrate that there's a focus towards service delivery instead of administration function. But the top side, the downside of it is that we will find that we are not able to support as admin function. We're not able to support in terms of the capacity that we have currently to support the ever increasing core business needs. But we're dealing with it in a different way to address those anomalies. And we're also looking at the fact that the reconfiguration, the unbundling project, the reconfiguration of the department will also give us the standard practice in terms of the ratio between core business and administration, because I think there is a ratio out there within the public service that we need to abide by. Yeah, I think that's the response on the question from the chairperson. Thank you. You'll just guide me if I haven't responded fully to the question, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I am happy. I think I got all my responses. In saying that, I'm going to speak through you, Acting DDG, seeing that the Deputy Minister is definitely not on the platform, so I'm not going to have any closing remarks as he is not with us any longer. In saying that, I would like to extend our heartfelt thanks for the presentation and for answering the questions posed by the honourable members. And as we are now going to proceed to internal matters, you're more than welcome to excuse yourselves, but you're more than welcome to stay on the platform as well. Members, it's 1:45, and I know you still have to get to Parliament if you're not here for this afternoon's sitting. So, Mardia, could I ask you to flight the minutes so that we can get a mover and a seconder for these minutes that were undertaken on the 25th of March. It has to do with the unbundling of the compensation fund and the UIF fund. Thank you very much, Mardia. Page 1, just check whether you were present. If you were not present, whether an apology was noted for you. Go down, down, down. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Opening and welcome. These minutes were circulated and I take it has been read. Thank you. Next page. Thank you very much. Could I, through show of hands, ask for a mover and a seconder? I see Honourable Pienaar, followed by Honourable Modise. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairperson. I move for adoption of the minutes.
Thank you, Honourable Pienaar. Honourable Modise.
Thank you, Chair. I second Honorable Pina as we agree that Sundowns is winning today. Thank you.
Is that why your photo is so smart? I see you look very smart on your profile pic. Colleagues, thank you very, very much. I think we had a good engagement with the Employment and Labour. If you have any more questions, please submit written questions. This is a very important department. And in saying that, I don't want to keep you much longer. We'll see you in the House this afternoon at 2:00, and those that are debating, good luck. And to our officials, thank you very much again for your hard work. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Recording stopped.